megabytes per minute, but I don't know. I suppose. So I can show you reading. Okay, iOS for everyone. This is the book I'm using for learning how to use the iPhone.
You liking your iPhone?
So far, I've already called 911 once accidentally. And yeah, I'm liking it. You know, I'm liking texting. I'm liking Siri. And just learning how to do email. So. Okay, so for example, if I'm reading, you don't see very much. I don't know how many words you guys see on the screen at a time. Like, I see the rotor extends what is all I see on the screen, on my screen. And then I have to hit the down arrow to get to the next line. You can do with voiceover flash gestures. Its operation has been compared more than once to an old style television. Anyway, so you get the idea from reading.
Do you prefer to read or do you prefer the voiceover having it read to you? I guess it's
yeah, it depends on what I'm reading. If I'm reading something that is like an email that's probably going to get deleted, I don't really care. I'll just let it go delete it. If I'm reading something where I want to take in more what it says, you know, like especially like this is like training stuff, then I like to read it in Braille better. It depends on where I am. I mean, the nice thing about Braille is it's not talking, so you're not on the bus, you know, having something blabbing away. You know, you can sit and read it, and it's private. Nobody can. And I have a desktop computer as well, and use JAWS with that, and with a Braille display that puts in Braille what JAWS is saying. Because I work for WeCo half-time, and then I have my own business half-time doing Braille transcription. So when I have documents to transcribe for people, I use JAWS and the Braille display because I can, as I hear it and I'll be reading, I can make corrections when I'm putting stuff in Braille that way. So then, you know, I kind of use both of them. But I'm a Braille fanatic mostly.
So you mentioned that there were two different types of Braille. There was a condensed and a...
Yep. So there's, right now, it's in what's called contracted Braille. Okay. So, like, let's look at if you look at the word tuning, it's T, you can't probably see this, but T-U-N, and then where it says I-N-G there, yeah, it's only one character under my finger, means I-N-G. And so, and like, okay, tuning dial, period, and then it says the word that, but that to me it's never spelled out T-H-A-T. It's just a T with a space next to it is the word that. Okay. And there's about 215 contractions. So that's contracted Braille, and that is how books are written, magazines, you know, anything that you would normally read. But then I can also change this to computer Braille, which doesn't have, okay, like,
so that's got the word that.
That's got the word that all the way, you know, written out. It gets rid of the, and the period after dial is a different shape. When it was contracted, it was dots 256, okay, and now it's dots 46. Oh. And computer Braille was made to make embossers that you print Braille with and stuff work better with, it has something to do with how the ASCII codes work. I don't understand the technical part of it, but for some reason, and it must have to do with like how websites see stuff, like when you write something on a form, you have to write it in computer Braille in order to get the form to work. And then there's uncontracted Braille, which nobody uses unless they're a beginner and they don't know the contractions yet.
Do you know if contracted was ever being compared to like shorthand?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it is. And then in 2016, the United States actually changed the Braille code because there were problems with, you know, when people have been using Braille, the internet, of course, was never around, and there weren't some of the problems getting things to talk to each other with Braille. So they changed it from what was called literary Braille to Unified English Braille in 2016. So they took away some of the contractions and then they added some other ones and just made some changes in the rules. So for example, they had to do that because there were conflicts because like for example, there's a website, Scripture for All, but 4 isn't the word for, it's the number 4.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell if you didn't know any better and you were reading that web address, you could not tell if it was Scripture period all because some of the characters meant 2 different things, and that caused a conflict. So they changed it to make it, you know, so that those conflicts went away. And so that's been in effect for 3 years now, and I think most blind people have gotten used to it, but I still get requests from some elderly blind people to, you know, please, whatever you're transcribing for me, put it in literary, you know, because they don't know the new contractions yet. And my Braille business is just booming because a lot of the Braille transcribers retired when they started with the UEB. They didn't want to learn a new code. So
How long did it take you to get used to the new code?
I'm still getting used to it.
Okay.
Because what the big difference between the new code and the old code is there wasn't a good way to tell. You know, now they have so many emphasis markers, like in a Word document, you know, they'll have in 2 sentences, there'll be 5 words that are bolded and then another word that's italicized, and, you know, especially like in textbooks, to get students to know, oh, this is important, so it's underlined and bolded. And there wasn't a real good way to do that in Braille. The UEB put all these emphasis markers in. So as you're reading, you can go, oh, I've got to pay attention to that word because it's bolded. So that's a whole bunch of different characters that, personally, I think it clutters up documents. But I imagine sighted people feel that way too sometimes, that there's too much emphasis markers.
Can be a visual distraction for sure. So I know if you're using VoiceOver and someone sends an emoji with VoiceOver, it actually reads the descriptor of an emoji. What do you get on a Braille keyboard with an emoji?
I haven't seen one yet. That's a great question. I don't know. I have, when I came in here, when I set up my phone with this, they were talking to each other and they've stopped since, and I don't know why. Because it says I'm connected to my phone. Let me just check. Internet. Yep. iPhone. You are already connected. But we don't seem to be talking to each other, so I don't know why. But if I did, I would go to the emoji keyboard and see what it does on here.
Thank you for showing me how to spell my name.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. Thanks for coming.
It's fascinating to see. I'm glad I got to see this. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Maureen, we have the folks from Zoom here
Oh,
in the room. We've been in here for maybe
cool.
5 or 10 minutes with you. So they saw a little bit about typing the name. Could you show them anything that we may have missed in the first half,
Yeah.
earlier in your presentation?
so one of the things I did in the first half is I showed people the desktop. And so when you turn this on, the desktop has file manager, it has word processor, notepad, email, media, all those things. And so I went to the word processor. And that's where I was when Kelly wrote her name, which is still here. So this is what a blank document looks like, and then there's the person. And then as I'm gonna write hello to the Zoom folks. See what kind of Braille I have here. Oops. So you can write with that. I can save that as a file. I mean, it's pretty much like, you can save it as a doc file. So then you can import it, say, into your desktop, into your Word file. I showed them that. I showed them the website. It's asking me if I want to save this, and I'm telling it no. Did they see a website?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. So I'm going to go to a website. I was trying to go to Caring Bridge. Oh, I see. I couldn't get it to open Caring Bridge, and I don't know why. Try again, see if it will. It wouldn't tonight. I think go on. And it's also taking a really long time to load tonight. I think it's using the internet off my phone, and there's not very many bars. So I think that's part of the problem, but I'm not sure how well it's getting stuck back. Okay, it's vibrated, which means you're telling me you're connected, but do something then besides loading. Okay. Oh. Okay. So it did go there this time, which is good. So if you see any of the Caring Bridge folks, you can tell them that their site doesn't work on this because I tried to get it to go.
I actually used to work in Caring Bridge.
Okay.
Glad it still works.
Yeah, it did. It wouldn't open before, but I do think that's the problem. So you're at a website. I'm going to do that, which takes it to the top of the page. And then the first thing I would look for is, are there any headings? So there's a command for that. It's F plus the backspace. And so it says, start your free website. Start a site. That sounds like a ad or something. But maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. And save time with one update. It says is the next heading. Benefits. And so you can go jump through. I can also look for links and it says Google Tag Man, JavaScript, sign in, pairingbridge.org, donate, about us, how it works. So a lot of times I'd either go through headings or links, or I would do a find and look for the word skip. Often that's how I start, and it's not found. So I wish the guys from Cambridge were
Are you
here.
looking for a skip?
Skip, yep,
Main
skip to
content?
content,
Okay.
yep. And apparently there isn't one here
Okay.
because it's not finding that word. But that's, I love it when sites have that because, you know, you can see with only seeing, like for example, I don't know how much you see on the screen, but all I see is personal health on this line. So if you're personal health, journeys of any condition, Caring Bridge, link www.google Tagmana or something. So it could take a really long time to read down a site before you get to actually where the content is. So I love it when there's a skip place there. Yeah, yeah.
So the keyboard itself is sending you tactile feedback to of Braille. Is that?
It's Braille. Yep.
You
So
should come look at it over here and actually see.
yeah, it's really hard to.
Oh wow.
So like for example, right here is the word we, and then there's a space. Then there's an H, which is the word have. There's 256 contractions in Braille. We have detected that. Oh, and this is a bad thing. that JavaScript is currently disabled. Okay, so maybe I need to, have that on. I guess I don't know. I don't know how that works. Carrying Bridge is best viewed with JavaScript. So that is a problem with Braille. Is Braille and JavaScript? There's a conflict. So sometimes sites don't work as well. And there's a bunch of Java.
Maureen, we had one question from the folks at Zoom. Bree asked, what is the biggest challenge you find people make in coding websites that affects using Braille?
Well, what affects using Braille, and like I said, there is a problem with a lot of Java. That's the only thing that I can think of that, is a problem specifically with Braille. But the other things that affect Braille are the same things that affect using speech. For example, I was telling the group that was here before that in this building, I cannot get on their Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi for Industrious, in order to get to the part, that you have to agree to the terms and all that business, there's a checkbox. But normally if there's a checkbox, you hit the space bar to check it. And when it's checked, you can feel the letter X in Braille in the checkbox. But it's not coded right, so it won't work. So I can't ever agree to the terms because I can't check the checkbox. And so then I tried to get on with, I asked Industrious, is there another? And they said, yeah, get on the T3 guest Wi-Fi. I can't agree to their terms because you have to watch a video first. And I can't watch a video on this. So I got lost in what I was saying with the question. So some of the problems, so if you're using speech and you can't get a checkbox to check, you're going to have problems. Or, if you're on a desktop, you can watch the video. I mean, I could there and then get it to work. But so usually the things that affect Braille are the same bad things that would affect any, speech. Like if I'm in a search box and I do a down arrow and on this and I don't see search button, I don't know how to do the search. Or if there's, if you're jumping from, say, form field to form field in Braille, you go like this basically, or like this. And if I'm doing that and the form isn't labeled right, like I might get on the edit box, but I don't know what it's for. If it's for my first name or if it's labeled right, let's say first name in Braille, and then there's a little mark next to it so you know that that's a form and the cursor automatically goes there, so then you could just write in your first name. But if it isn't labeled right, you'll just see the empty space and you don't know what you're supposed to put there. So it's the same errors that cause, general inaccessibility that come up in Braille.
Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, welcome.